The signal came on an ordinary Tuesday, while astronomer Kaylin Frost hunched over her terminal at the Atacama Radio Observatory. 3 rapid pulses, followed by a sustained wave that defied natural explanation. At first, she thought it was equipment malfunction, until observatories across 5 continents confirmed the same anomaly. "It's crying," Kaylin whispered to Director Thaddeus Oberlin, her voice barely audible over the observatory's humming equipment. "These patterns match nothing in our catalogs." The transmission originated from somewhere near Proxima Centauri, already unusual as the star had been scanned countless times in humanity's search for extraterrestrial intelligence. But what made this different was the emotional quality. Something about the waveform suggested distress, not mathematical sequences or prime numbers, but something raw and visceral. Within hours, the United Earth Council assembled an emergency response team. Linguist Dozier Hamada took the lead on interpretation, while Admiral Lachlan Moore prepared a transmission package containing basic Earth languages and mathematical constants. "This isn't just communication," Dozier said, staring at the oscillating pattern. "It's a distress call." At the Pentagon, military officials argued for caution. "It could be bait," General Amara Ndiaye warned. "We've barely reached Mars, and suddenly aliens are calling for help?" But Dr. Hamada remained convinced. This isn't a trap. The signal degrades in ways that suggest genuine damage, like a voice breaking mid-cry. For 3 days, the signal continued uninterrupted. Earth's scientific community worked around the clock, dissecting every modulation and frequency shift while the media whipped citizens into a frenzy. Religious leaders called for calm. Doomsayers predicted invasion. Then, on the 4th day, something new arrived. Coordinates embedded within the transmission pattern, pointing to a gravitational anomaly just beyond Neptune's orbit. The United Earth Fleet, consisting of only 3 deep space vessels, was dispatched immediately. Captain Vadim Kovacs commanded the lead ship, the UES Prometheus. As they approached the coordinates, radiation readings spiked beyond instrumentation limits. "All stop," Kovacs ordered. The view screens revealed nothing visible, but scanners detected a massive energy signature folded within the fabric of space itself. When the Prometheus extended its specialized long-range sensors, they detected a quantum bubble, artificial in origin, that appeared to be failing. Inside, something massive struggled to maintain cohesion. "They're phasing in and out of our reality," Science Officer Evren Ibar reported. "Whatever they are, they're dying." Captain Kovacs made humanity's first executive decision regarding alien contact. Without consultation with Earth, he ordered the Prometheus to extend its quantum stabilizers, experimental technology never tested beyond laboratory conditions, toward the failing bubble. "If we don't act now," he told his stunned crew, "whoever sent that distress call won't survive long enough for us to debate the proper protocol." As the Prometheus engaged its stabilizers, the quantum bubble briefly stabilized. A transmission flooded their communications array. Images, sounds, and sensations that bypassed traditional communication methods and implanted directly into the minds of the crew. They weren't words, but the meaning was clear: gratitude, urgency, and a warning. Something was coming, something ancient and terrible that had hunted these beings across galaxies. Something that would soon discover Earth. The alien vessel, now partially visible as an iridescent crystalline structure larger than Manhattan, stabilized enough to project a 3-dimensional history directly into the Prometheus's data systems. The story it told changed humanity forever. They called themselves the Luminari, refugees from a distant galactic arm. Their civilization had spanned thousands of worlds before encountering the entity they named only as the Void. Not a species, but a cosmic force that consumed sentient civilizations, absorbing their technological and biological uniqueness while leaving barren husks of planets in its wake. The surviving Luminari had fled for millennia, their numbers dwindling from billions to the mere thousands now contained within the quantum vessel. They had sought sanctuary in hundreds of star systems, but the Void always followed, drawn to advanced technology like a predator to blood. "Why come to us?" Captain Kovacs asked through the rudimentary translation interface they'd established. "We're barely interstellar." The answer materialized in his mind, precisely because of humanity's technological infancy. The void overlooked developing worlds, considering them unworthy of consumption. The Luminari had been searching for a species with untapped potential, a race that could learn from the Luminari's mistakes before developing technology that would attract the void. You sing in the dark, the alien consciousness projected, referencing humanity's century-long history of broadcasting radio signals into space. We heard your songs from galaxies away. Your species possesses something unique, creativity intertwined with resilience. Within the vessel's memory banks, the Luminari carried the accumulated knowledge of 12,000 extinct civilizations, mathematical principles that would revolutionize physics, biological advancements that would eliminate disease, energy technologies that would end scarcity. But the most precious gift was a warning. Certain technological paths would attract the void. Faster than light travel using traditional methods, dimensional folding, anti-entropic engines. All were beacons that would bring extinction. As Captain Kovacs absorbed this information, proximity alarms blared across the Prometheus. A distortion appeared at the edge of the solar system. Massive, cold, and hungry, the void had found them. "We are sorry," the Luminari communicated. "Our damaged vessel has led it here sooner than expected. Your world now faces the threat we hoped to prepare you for." Admiral Moore, monitoring from Earth, ordered an immediate withdrawal. "Return to Earth, Captain. We need that information to prepare our defenses." But Kovacs hesitated. Earth had no defenses against something that had consumed thousands of advanced civilizations. In that moment, Science Officer Ibar made a startling discovery. "Captain, their quantum bubble technology, it's compatible with our experimental gravity drive. If we modify our engines, we could create a resonance wave that might disrupt the void." "At what cost?" Kovacs asked. "The Prometheus wouldn't survive the feedback." The communication officer interrupted. "Sir, the Luminari are offering to merge their consciousness with our ship's AI. They say they can guide the process." Captain Kovacs surveyed his crew. Without a word, they nodded their assent. "Tell Earth we've found a way," he said quietly, "and that humanity is no longer alone in this fight." The Prometheus turned away from Earth, heading directly toward the approaching darkness. As the ship's systems integrated with the ancient wisdom of the Luminari, Captain Kovacs broadcast his final message home. "We make this sacrifice not as the end of humanity's journey, but as its true beginning. Today, we become part of something greater than ourselves." The modified engines of the Prometheus began to glow with impossible light as the ship accelerated toward the void. What followed was no mere explosion, but a trans-dimensional cascade that rippled through space-time itself. The void recoiled, its formless mass disrupted by the combined technologies and sacrifice. From Earth, astronomers watched as a new star briefly flared where the Prometheus had been. A beacon that burned for 3 days before fading. 1 year after the Prometheus sacrifice, humanity stood united as never before. The knowledge the Luminari had shared transformed Earth's understanding of the universe, but more importantly, it had transformed humanity's understanding of itself. Commander Naledi Okafor stood at attention before the newly formed Interplanetary Council, her uniform bearing the Phoenix emblem of the Prometheus Corps. Around the chamber sat representatives from every nation on Earth, alongside the holographic presence of surviving Luminari consciousness uploaded into Earth's quantum network. "The defensive perimeter is complete," Naledi reported. "The void remains at the edge of our system, unable to advance through the quantum barrier we've established." Council leader Ezekiel Patel nodded solemnly. "And our progress on the Luminari Regenesis project? The first bioshells are ready for consciousness transfer. By next cycle, our allies will have physical form again." The Luminari representative, a shifting light pattern designated as Elder Thalern, shimmered with approval. "In all our wanderings, we never encountered a species that learned so quickly or adapted so fearlessly. The sacrifice of the Prometheus crew has become legend among our collected consciousness." What no one had anticipated was how the Prometheus's final act had changed the void itself. The entity had never encountered willing sacrifice before. Creatures who would give themselves not out of fear, but out of protection for others. This concept was so alien to its nature that it had withdrawn to study this new phenomenon. Earth now stood as the frontier of a new alliance. The Luminary knowledge had allowed humanity to develop technologies that worked in harmony with natural laws rather than forcing them to bend. These advances didn't attract the void, but instead created a resonance that repelled it. Commander Okafor unfolded a star chart showing vessels departing Earth in all directions. The first seed ships have been dispatched to establish warning beacons around neighboring star systems. Each carries a modified quantum transmitter designed to alert any sentient species about the void while offering them the same knowledge we received. Elder Thalern's light pattern intensified. You've taken our warning and transformed it into a shield for all sentient life. In our 12 million years of existence, we never conceived such an approach. Humanity has always excelled at one thing, Council Leader Patel said with quiet pride, finding hope in the darkest places. That evening, at the Atacama Observatory where it had all begun, Kaylin Frost, now Director of Xena Communications, stood beside a memorial to the Prometheus crew. Above her, stars gleamed with new meaning, no longer distant points of light, but potential homes for allies not yet met. A soft pulse emanated from her handheld scanner. New signals were arriving from deeper in the galaxy, responses to the messages humanity had sent. Other civilizations, hidden from the void, now reaching out cautiously after detecting the quantum beacons. Kaylin smiled as she watched the signal patterns form on her screen. They weren't cries for help this time. They were greetings, curious and hopeful, from species who had believed themselves alone. Humanity's darkest hour had become its brightest dawn. The cry that had brought first contact had transformed into a chorus that would span the stars.